Let's get to our team coverage now of the NCAA tournament. The Tri-State might be the epicenter of college basketball right now. This week we have 3 schools within an 11-mile stretch that have qualified for the tournament: NKU, UC, and Xavier. Let's start with the Muskies. Winning as underdogs against Maryland last night, head coach Chris Mack saying after the game, quote, "I believe in my guys." Not on your sides, Evan Millward in Orlando now with more on how Xavier is trying to get to the Sweet 16.
The Musketeers don't have much time to bask in last night's win over Maryland. In fact, they are probably already getting to work. It took a back-to-basics focus last night to turn the tide of this game, and that team got a big boost from a kid who has been here before, one of the starters with the most NCAA tournament experience, Trayvon Blewett, who seemingly couldn't miss a three-pointer.
Hey, Trey is an incredible player. You can never count Trey out. He can miss 5 in a row, but then he can go back on and make 5 in a row. Like, you know, he's a tremendous talent, and glad he's on our side.
Once we got hot, you know, we kind of kept that rhythm going throughout the whole thing. And honestly, you know, I think it started defensively. You know, we played great defensively. It's going to translate on the offensive end, and I think that's what happened.
No, and let's not forget some of the other guys who really made an impact in last night's game. Sean O'Mara, Kaiser Gates, some of them calling the bench brigade, really stepping up when they needed to. With the Xavier Musketeers in Orlando, I'm Evan Millward, 9 on your side.
Evan, thanks. Your work continues in Orlando, thankfully. I'm sure Muskie fans are excited about. Tonight, though, it's NKU's turn, and they're going to get their chance to bust the bracket. And what a story that would be. It's going to be a tall task. The Norse will take on the University of Kentucky in Indianapolis. You know, John Popovich is up for Kegs and Eggs in Indy, so we thought, why not have him join us live this morning? Popo, it is good to see you. What's your report from Indianapolis?
You pointed it out. That would be the ultimate bracket buster if they could do that tonight. You know, when the selection show came down on Sunday and Northern Kentucky appeared up there, I think a lot of people for the first time realized there was a school named Northern Kentucky University. So it gave attention to the school. Today, let's take a look at the rest of the cast. It's a group of young guys who have taken Northern Kentucky to a place they've never been before. Yet with the increased attention, this is a team we still know very little about. Drew McDonald is probably the best known because he played at Newcath. He leads the team in scoring. Levon Holland's II gained attention as the conference tournament MVP. Then there's Cole Murray, actually an Indiana kid, a senior who has seen this program go up and down.
He was more set on the ability of leaving something behind, knowing that the chances of playing in the NCAA were going to be pretty limited.
It worked out better than he ever thought. Or how about the head coach, John Brannon? His dad, also named John, sat proudly at courtside with his other son, who also happens to be a basketball coach at Walton Verona.
It's been a very great season, and we hope it continues tomorrow night too, and I feel good about tomorrow night.
You mentioned John won Coach of the Year in the Horizon League?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And Grant?
And Grant won Coach of the Year in the 8th region in Kentucky.
You know, this was a good year for them and a good year for this young Norse team, and they are very young. 8 of the players are playing Division I basketball for the first time this year. So they're young, but then again, so is Kentucky. And boy, they're awfully good. I watched them on the court yesterday, Chris.
Yeah, Papa, it's the ultimate David versus Goliath matchup in the NCAA tournament. What does NKU really have to do just to be competitive in this game?
I think what they have to do is just hold their ground in the early part of this game. Kentucky comes at you. They'll come down the court there. I mean, you've seen them all of a sudden take off on teams with the alley-oops and just running and gunning and being able to do things. Kentucky could put you away in a hurry. Northern Kentucky has to hold off that early charge.
And then, so how was the fans there yesterday? Was it pretty well attended for both sides for that open practice?
Well, Northern Kentucky had very few fans. I think they're going to see them come over a lot today. Kentucky, meanwhile, and we see this everywhere, has lots of fans. I mean, they had, it wasn't in the hundreds, it was probably in the thousands. And they were there, and they're from all over the place.
Big Blue Nation. One final question I have for you. I'm going to switch gears here. Indiana, you're in the state of Indiana, firing their head coach yesterday. Do you think any local coaches might be tied to that? I'm talking about Chris Mack, or maybe even NKU's coach to that job.
NKU's, I was thinking also Archie Miller up in Dayton would have some interest in something like that. Chris Mack has turned down some other things in the past, so I don't know. he seems to be awfully good in what he does at Xavier.
All right. John Popovich live in Indianapolis for us this morning. Papa, we appreciate your time. Thank you.